Right. Welcome, everybody. Super excited to have everybody here tonight. Before we introduce our special guest in true Project Hockey fashion, let's get the chat going a little bit tonight. Let's see, where's everybody live right now? Where's everybody coming from? What state or province or country are you in? Let's get the chat moving a little bit and get people excited to be here. I am in Minnesota,
Iowa. Very nice.
New Jersey, Connecticut, Ontario,
Taiwan. Welcome.
Wonderful. Greg.
Love it. Oregon, Kyler, Minnesota. Where in Minnesota are you from, Kyler? Forest Lake, I love it. I am down in Mankato, North Dakota. Speaking of North Dakota, Hackstall got the new Kraken job.
Saw that.
He's a North Dakota guy.
Sure.
All right. Also in the chat, if you guys could, if you're new, if like this is your first time doing a Project Hockey event, put that in the chat. So if you haven't been with us before, put that in the chat. Who's coming with us for the first time? Who's excited to be here? See if we got anyone new. I see a lot of familiar faces tonight, which is awesome. Anybody new tonight?
We got one. Shane, first time?
Jane.
Nice. Welcome, man. Welcome.
Cool. Kyler,
Tyler,
Forest
you?
Lake. All right.
Sweet, Greg.
Tyler, Greg, welcome, guys.
Welcome. I am going to share my screen a little bit before I kick it over to Drew, and Drew will introduce everything and get things rolling. But I want to talk a little bit about Project Hockey and what we are. And so I am going to go, this is our website. We're going to chat a little bit about how it works, how Project Hockey works. I don't know how to get this little screen. Let me see here. So for those of you new, Project Hockey is a at-home app that allows you to get better from home, allows you to work on things like being part of a community, right? The best part of hockey is the idea that you're part of a team. And that's exactly what our community is. And it's pretty cool in our app. Like you can give each other fist bumps. You can add each other as friends in there. It's a lot like Facebook, and it allows kids to really interact and communicate and talk to each other and really just be part of a team, which in my opinion is the best part of hockey. Another big thing that we do is hockey IQ. You hear coaches a lot of times like talk about, you know, he or she has that, he or she can think the game better, he or she can do this or that. And it's always hard to teach that and learn that. But in Project Hockey, every single week we have a new video that comes out that, as you can see on the screen here, it breaks down the play. It allows kids to get better. It shows them what to do. It shows them how to do things. And just letting a few more people in, which is awesome. And it's really just a really cool way to build your hockey IQ. So when you get on the ice, you have more confidence and you're able to play better. Another big piece is skill set sessions. We do these every single day, where, as you can see on the screen, it's one of our coaches taking the kids through the app, showing them how to get better, whether it's working on toe drags, puck protection, hand-eye coordination for our goalies. Because yes, we have a goalie program too. Mindset work. Again, you have to be mentally tough to play the game of hockey. And so it's very important to work on your mindset. So we have a ton of coaches that are certified in mental performance, and they're always doing awesome mindset videos for our group. And then we also track development. A lot of times we do, as you can see on the screen, like we have this challenge, right? Where you save your challenges and you track your development over time. And hockey is the most competitive sport in the world, which is why we compete every single day. And usually the best hockey players are the most competitive. And so we're super lucky to have the community that we have. And because you guys are here and you took the time to work with us and listen to us and come to our meeting tonight, if you had any interest in becoming a Project Hockey member, our guest, Scott, is going to be giving you a month for free. So if you go to our website and you type in the code Scott, you're going to be able to get a total month for free. Try us out. And then after that, you can be part of our program and our community. And the last little piece that I wanted to show is what we just started this week. And it's not too late to sign up and get going on it, but we've started these speed training things. And so as you can see, this week we started it every single week, twice a week. We've got agility work where we're working on getting our feet faster. We have power work where we're becoming more explosive and we're able to get to be quicker out on the ice. And then speed where we're really just working on that top end speed to allow these players to get better. And so when you get back to the ice, whether you've had tryouts or your tryouts are coming up and you have summer hockey, now is the time to get better. The kids that put in the work now are the ones that are going to have success all season long. And so again, check that out. The code is Scott. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. Our email is all over our website. But without further ado, I will kick it over to Drew. Excited to have everybody here tonight. That kind of rhymed a little bit. That was awesome.
Did. That was had some good flow to it there.
Love it.
All right, so we have Scott Wedgewood here with us. I met Scott, I don't know, close to 10 years ago now, out at Bandits goaltending goalie camp over the summer. And at that time, he was playing with the Plymouth Whalers in the OHL, not around anymore. I think now they're the Flint Firebirds, still in the OHL. He was a third-round pick by the New Jersey Devils back in 2010 and played a few years with the Devils organization before going over to Arizona with a stop in Buffalo, ultimately coming back to New Jersey this year and playing the full year up with the big club. So obviously, anytime we can get an NHLer on here, it's huge for you guys to kind of understand what that blueprint looks like. But for any goalies that are on here too, I think this might be one of the first or one of the early goalie guys that we've had on. So it'll be a cool perspective. And even if you're not a goalie, you guys shoot on goalies. So it's a good chance to kind of understand what a goalie sees. So thank you for coming on here, Scott. Oh, is he muted? I think he's muted. That's going to be a problem.
I'll get him.
All right, we'll get him on.
I just got to find him. Oh, no, now I'm in gallery mode. Okay, I got it. Okay. And boom, asked to unmute.
And we're
live. I thought I did that already. We already did that.
You did, but once you mute yourself again, it won't let you unmute, but you should be good now.
Stupid Zoom.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that. I was like, when was, 10 years ago probably was when we met.
Yeah.
Came to Plymouth in 2008, shut down the Whalers, shut down the Trenton Titans, shut down the Albany Devils. Like, organizations don't survive after I go there, it seems like.
It's kind of a cool stat to have on your resume there.
Yeah, right. Three of five or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Devils don't go anywhere right now. So just to kick it off, well, I think it's something that a lot of kids I know when I was younger and I was a young goalie coming up, I always wondered who the most difficult player in the NHL was to stop. And obviously they all bring something different to the table. But in your experience, could be a player you played with or played against. Who would you say?
I think it's pretty common, but it is Ovi. I think this year, without seeing Matthews and stuff, it was tougher to kind of put them hand in hand with what he had kind of accomplished. But over, I think I've probably played against Ovechkin probably 8 or 9 times now. And I had him for the first 3 or 4 games, and it was funny. I remember, I think it might have been the third game I had played them. I think the first one was like an overtime 1-0 loss. Then I did pretty well against him again. I think it was like a 4-3 game, but he didn't have a point or anything. In the third game, it was like a face-off in our end. He kind of stared at me, and I joke, I talk. I don't really chirp anybody, but he kind of looked and he kind of said like, let me get one, and then he kind of pointed top corner. Didn't score on that shift, but he scored like 2 shifts later. And he kind of just like laughed as he skated by me, like he was just having fun. And to me, it was just like, end of the world. I guess got scored on, but no, he just so like this year he got me again a couple times, but it's so hard, it's so fast, and he's always available. And it's just kind of like he, as much as and have to be aware of him on the ice, he finds a way to be lost and then just releases this cannon, and it's just different.
Yep. I also, before we keep going here, if you guys have any questions too, please feel free to type them in the chat. And obviously, even though you can't talk, I can read them out and speak on your behalf. But getting back to that though, I think it's something that I've started to notice more that I've gotten into coaching now, but just how much he moves around on the ice. I mean, other than that, like what do you think makes it so difficult? I mean, obviously he shoots it hard, but
yeah, it's got to be the quickness like of the release. I mean, I know the power is different and a lot of people obviously aren't going to get there, but I think it's just how quick and aware he is of where you're supposed to be and what he's anticipating. I mean, for most players, where he sits in that Ovechkin spot, right-hander on the top right side of the goalie or top left if you're looking from the this neutral zone. The craziest thing I think he can do is he can shoot against the grain. And the hardest part is that's with your hips. And you see a lot of players nowadays kind of get down on one knee, and that one knee just allows you to release against, the play, the movement of the play, which, I don't know if there's ever been a stat taken, but I think of any east-west play, when a shot comes back against where it came from, is so much harder. Your pass come from, even from the right side of a low to high, it's usually coming back to the strong side of where the pass came from. And it's just, you kind of, as a goal, you take those angles, you kind of think about, he's got to go into traffic, he's got to go across his body, he's got to try and pick a corner. And obviously Ovi can do that. And a lot of guys in the NHL can, but it's obviously a lot tougher of a shot.
Yeah. I think Stan might've been one of the first guys to notice that with that one knee down.
Yeah. He's always been bringing that up.
Elite stuff there. So I have a great question here from Hannah. Obviously goaltending, arguably one of the most pressure filled positions in sports. Do you have any, mental strategies that you might use just to kind of, keep your poise when things get a little hectic?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know if I break it down into, I think there's just things I've kind of taught myself over time that isn't really like a set routine or a set thing to kind of, I guess, break it down into steps. But I think it's about kind of the way you approach each play. I like to take a certain approach on rushes. I wait till guys cross over center ice. I obviously set up to where I'm going or what the play is looking like. I take my check, before they come over the blue line, figure out who's where and what shot they are. And I think the biggest thing that kind of comes from it is I build confidence in knowing what I'm about to do. And I think that's, everyone talks about, you got to have confidence to make the save. You got to, talk about, I have, this swagger, this view that I'm unbeatable. But at the end of the day, we're all human and mistakes happen and things like that. But I think when you have almost, a checklist or a set of, I guess you want to call it, best words, routine. I don't want to go into, what's the word when you get superstitious. It's not superstitious. It's more of just, I come out, I approach what I want to know. And as soon as I know that, I can feel that confidence kind of comes. I follow the play, sit behind who's there, how many guys, what my defensemen are doing, shot, hands, and then it kind of just builds confidence that way. Once the crowd kind of gets into it, it's almost a little bit more of a, when you get a goal scored against you or things when the Wedgewood you suck chance or a lot of those OHL arenas and things like that kind of come in. It just becomes a little more of a fun challenge. I think you kind of rise to that. I've always been one of those people that enjoys the pressure. But I don't have a certain thing that I have to say to myself or a post tap or anything like that. It's more just obviously getting set into a preparation that I have for the play as it's coming down. And I think that just builds confidence and just creates that confident, I guess, view towards the play to just make the right read and trust your instincts.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a great quote one time. It was, the puck doesn't know what the situation is. So the puck doesn't care if there's any pressure, and you guys should, if you're a goalie, should only care about what the puck thinks. So the puck doesn't care about the pressure, neither should you. And
I haven't heard that.
Oh, really? It's
no,
I think
I've never heard that.
Mitch Korn. I think Mitch Korn was saying that when he was with the Caps. He was big on just kind of making it fun but simple, and it kind of makes sense. Puck has no idea what the situation is.
Yeah, the less you think, the better.
Yeah, seriously, because the pucks are coming in at you pretty fast. So the less going on in your mind makes it a little bit more clear there. So obviously you've played at high levels your whole career, and there was a question here whether you played college or juniors, and he played in the Ontario Hockey League, which is a major junior league in Canada. So he did not play college, but it's probably arguably one of the best amateur leagues in the world. And so you've been at the highest levels, including the NHL. But what have you seen that's been the most difficult thing to adjust to as you've gone up in levels, from the O to the AHL up to the NHL?
Honestly, I think outside of talent, once you start seeing better players and better situations, as you kind of get through those ranks, everyone around you gets better. You don't, people fall off. You don't get the guys that are going to kind of, I guess, fall. Your weakest link kind of just eventually goes, and your new weakest link is now a better player than you've ever seen before. And that kind of ladder keeps kind of rising. But I think the hardest thing as you kind of get up there is trying to figure out how to go to the next level as quick as possible. Through juniors, once I got drafted, it was okay, now I got 2 more years of juniors, but then it's the NHL, and it's well, no, you got the ECHL, you got the AHL, you got years in both of them. you have time, you have, opportunities, and it's not just do well and go. I mean, I never really had a dominant season where it was almost like a guaranteed pick to become the next guy in the National Hockey League. I had always had great moments and weeks where it didn't go as I had planned, and situations where over time it became one of those things where it was like, okay, I can't all of a sudden just have 2 shutouts in a row, and that's the NHL.
Right.
It's a consistent league. It's a consistent product and time that's got to be done over and over and over again. And the more consistent you can be, I think that's what kind of separated a lot of the guys. As you keep moving up, it's why did that guy fall off? He was so good. Or why did that person not make it? And it was just, can you come into the rink and do your job, practice your game every day, and obviously not cause problems, but also perform when it's necessary. And then when you do make those big splashes, that's kind of that consistency level that people I think overlook.
Yep. I think it's interesting. If any of you kids go on to and look up any 4th line player or 6th defenseman or 2nd string goalie in the NHL, and you look through their career statistics, you'll be very surprised at how dominant every single one of those players were at one point in their careers. So it's just more evidence that as you get up in levels, you might not always be a goal scorer or an offensive defenseman or whatever you may be at a lower level. So it's important to be able to round your game out. Kevin Rooney is a great example, and he'll be on at some point in the next month or so. But he was a Division I hockey player at Providence College, and he's just kind of adapted a role in the NHL, and now he's an everyday player. So being able to kind of like Scott said, like every kind of bottom tier player, as you get up in levels, just gets better and better. Let's see here. We'll do a fun one here, and you have to answer wisely. But Frank Alf would like to know if you like playing for the Devils.
I do. That was honestly one of the teams I liked the most growing up. I was born in the early 90s, and then
Brodeur.
Martin Brodeur, switching to goalie when I was 10. He was obviously the guy to watch, in that era. And then getting drafted there, I was able to spend a few camps with him. He's back on the staff as a senior advisor on New Jersey, so I get to see him throughout the year, talk to him a lot this year. And then just obviously being that like one of my favorite teams growing up, that was impressive. And then being drafted there and now coming back to them, it's almost feels like home in a way, home away from home, but it's that comfortability feeling of an organization that of.
Yeah. No, I don't know if any of these kids on here would really appreciate Marty Brodeur. Well, my dog might start barking in about 2 seconds. I'm sorry. Little chocolate lab. He likes to bark at stuff. But yeah, no, Marty Brodeur. I had a huge poster of him in my room when I was growing up. So
yeah, I had a bunch of stuff too.
A lot of 2-pad stacks going on there. Not much anymore. So just obviously it's kind of hard because we only see you for the 2.5-3 hours that you're on the TV for. But if you could just take us through what like a normal day would be like for you, like a normal game day, in a non-COVID year. Obviously, you've been around in the league before COVID, so if you could take us through a normal day there.
I'd just go through like a home game because it's easier. But for us, depending what time pregame skate is, usually be like a 9 o'clock arrival to the rink. You'll have probably a 9:15 meeting. So a lot of the time, I'll probably get there before 8:30, I'd say on a given day, just kind of give myself 45 minutes, get changed. If you eat breakfast there, there's always some options. You have the opportunity to roll out, do what you need to do before meeting, because once meeting's done, it's right to getting dressed for pregame skate. You'll head out there. A lot of the times, like I said, they're at 10 o'clock. Sometimes they're not overly long, depending if you had an off day the day before, they can get, close to 20-30 minutes, but usually it's like a 10-15 kind of feel the puck, get out there a few minutes early with our goalie coach, go through a few just warm up drills and things that just kind of, make you feel good, especially if you're the starting goalie. They take a little more time to just run through a few situations. If there's any power play or specialty plays that the team would like to use, depending on who you're going up against that night, those will be, brought to your attention. Once pregame skate's done, you do what you need to do to get out of there. Some guys obviously do a little more stretching, rolling out, preparation. Pregame is usually prepared at home. For myself, it's I usually like to nap a little bit earlier. So I'd probably, once I get home, I'd eat, take a quick, hour and a half. I don't like to sleep too long. After that, it's a little bit of chill time. I don't know if sometimes I have time for video games just because it takes me out of my own head and kind of sit there, enjoy a little bit of that. make another snack, head to the rink. At that point, it's, usually arriving between 4 and 4:30. You have to be there before 5, so 2 hours before a game. That point, tape sticks, start my stretching routine. Anything medically you need done, 5:20, usually PK and PP meetings are taken around that time, and then a team meeting after those two are done. And then at that point, it's, either soccer or whatever kind of warm-up game you like to do. For myself, I only play soccer on games when I'm not in net. Usually just enjoy that kind of fun with the guys. But once I'm in net, I have a little more of a detailed routine. Then obviously warm-ups, 24 minutes before puck drop, and you're good to go. So it's nothing crazy. It's more just kind of, drive in, do your skate, drive out, come back, sleep, get back to the rink, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah. No, I like that you included the chill time in there. I know that sometimes on game days, it's almost like you want to just only focus on that game, especially when you're not playing 82 games, because a lot of these kids are probably playing like 40 to 45 if you're playing club. So I think it's important, to make sure you allow yourself that chill time, allow yourself to kind of separate from thinking about it, because it can get exhausting.
Yeah, all hockey all the time isn't the recipe.
No, you're still playing Fortnite?
No, not as much. Honestly, I haven't really had, after the bubble last year with Tampa Bay, we played Xbox so much. I haven't really been on it as much as I would have liked to, because we didn't have much to do in there. So we played for a lot of hours, every day almost. So no, I've been on MLB, been on a bunch of different things, golf and hockey. I still play my hockey. So
you and Ned were streaming for a little bit, right?
Yeah, we enjoyed that. That was fun. I like that. Rainbow Six. I got to get back onto that. I'm in a hotel until the end of the month. So once I get my apartment set up and my Wi-Fi going, I'll be good to go again.
Love that. All right. Well, I got another question here from Brady, and it's, how do you deal with players like Crosby, McDavid, and you mentioned Ovi, but just those guys? I mean, I think what I've seen just from observing is those top players, like everybody in that league can hit a tiny area of the net if there's no one on them. I think what makes those players so special is they can hit those same spots with 2 or 3 guys on them, So is there like a different approach that you take or that your team takes, when you know that you're playing them?
Yeah, I think obviously the team addresses them, just certain situations. I mean, Crosby in the power play likes that off net, left side of my glove side for most regular handed goalies, that off net point shot tip where he kind of just sits on the goal line and just ramps it short side high somehow. So those little situations are going to be brought up. Obviously, Ovi's spot on the power play, and then McDavid's speed when you play him. But as a goalie, it's just one of those things where I think Crosby might be the most dangerous with it, is you never know when it's going to come. There was a play this year, just, for example, it was like a shot from the point tip. I made a save, and the rebound kind of sat in his feet as he was getting tied up, and he almost just kind of like won a face-off shot on me through his legs, but it was like without turning his hand over. He just kind of did a quick backhand through his legs. I got a piece of it. Another one, it was kind of like he's shot, he gets tied up and he swings his hand around one-handed and slices at a puck and just pushes it wide. But he just knows where it is, and he does that second effort that, someone's tied up, it's like, someone else is there, they can kind of make that chance. But he's one of those guys, he's so good with a stick that he can obviously make those plays, and there's such quick releases, they can kind of, snap it at any point in time, which I think McDavid's so effective too with his speed. You've got to trust that he's going far, or he can wait, pull it back, put it 5-hole right as you go to move. And those guys are just dangerous as it is. There's no real book on them. It's just kind of give it your best and try and make them make the first move.
Yeah, no, I think McDavid he only slows down when he wants to. Like, if he's changing direction and he wants to keep that same speed, it's the same speed. Hands are going the same speed. It's insane. All right, I got one question here, and then we'll get back to the questions from you guys. But in the NHL, I think now more than ever, like you're not going to be playing every single day. I think that the days of goalies playing 70 to 75 games are kind of done now, just with load management and all that stuff. But how do you, I guess personally, like if there's a week or so where maybe you get one game in, or a 2-week stretch where you have like maybe 2 games, like how do you stay fresh mentally during those stretches?
I think it's just the practice habits. I think one of those things throughout my career that I've been able to kind of keep a positive reinforcement on from all my teams that I've done is I've been a good practice goalie. Not saying that I stop every puck. It's just that I don't really take a day off or, a shot off in a sense, but just kind of give that effort. And I think it helps me kind of prepare too, where it's, you can create different situations in your mind. You're not going to stop every puck. And I've learned that. I've tried. But it's one of those situations where you're in a 2-on-1, you're in a 3-on-2. It's a practice drill. You can kind of situationally prepare yourself to see what can come. Okay, let's kind of play this as real as possible. There's no cheating, even if it's a setup. Where they have to make a backdoor play, or they have to go to the corner and feed the point, and then the point guy's got to shoot it off net for a tip. Like, those situations are predetermined. I think when you kind of hit those perfect spots in a real rep is just one of those things that just kind of contributes back to your game. Other side of it is, once you kind of, I guess, get into thick of it with a lot of guys and questions, it's like, that one game becomes so important, because that then leads into, am I going to get another start? And I think the one nice thing that I had with, my goalie coach this year was, he's like, I can't guarantee you're ever going to play again any night. Like, it doesn't matter. So, you're only, a lot of people always say you're only good as your last game, but it's like, you're only as good as your next one. I think that's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, if you go in there and you have a bad night, which happened to me, I had that in Pittsburgh this year. I had, 3 goals on me, and then a fourth one that bounced in from the red line. And it's happened to, guys once a year since hockey was created. I feel like it's one of those weird ones. And then the next night I got back in there, gave up one and played well. And it was kind of one of those situations where you just have to bounce back. Like I talked about earlier, that consistency. I know what I can do and how well I can do it. So I think once those kind of hiccups happen and your next game comes, it's one of those things too, where if you get a little bit mentally set back, you're obviously going to stumble for a long time. It's just kind of prepare and trust yourself and get back out there and do what you do best.
Yeah, and I can attest to your practice habits. I mean, I've seen Wedge in like a goalie camp setting, just a typical summer goalie camp. And if you want to talk about compete, if you think you've ever competed, you've never skated with Scott Wedgewood. I think that he would frustrate the shooters so much that they would like either get off or like legitimately break their sticks over the net. And I think as a coach, one thing that I've learned, and you guys can take with you, is I can make you work hard as a coach. I can tell you to skate faster and you will skate faster. I can tell you to do more reps and you'll do more reps. But what I can't really tell you to do is compete. And if you're in a situation where you might not be playing a lot, all you can control is how hard you're going to compete. Because as you move up in levels, everyone's going to work hard, but not everyone's willing to compete when things aren't going their way. And I think that's what has allowed Wedge to stick around for so long, is just, his competitiveness, and it can't be underestimated. So we'll get back to, we got a good question here and then we'll start to wrap this up. But, so any advice, this is a good one. Any advice for players who might be struggling with self-confidence at any given point during a year?
Yeah, I think, if you can understand what your role is or what you bring to the team, if he's a player, if he's a goalie or cheer, whatever is that is in that situation, I think when you go back and look at yourself, like, okay, what can I do better? What is my, my weak points? And obviously, what are my strengths? And I think when you look at that and you're struggling, say you're a goal scorer and you can't score, it's pretty, cliche, but you spend time obviously perfecting those skills. Or if you're in a situation where someone's struggling because they aren't getting put in, on the ice for defensive situations, or losing, lack of ice time for, either end of the ice, what their problem is, I think the biggest thing is to address it. Looking in the mirror and kind of taking that ownership on yourself is, I think, something that a lot of people don't do. It's, coach hates me, or I don't get power play time because of this, or I don't play defense because of that. And everything's kind of pointing outward. Obviously, there is certain situations and circumstances you can't control. I think a lot of it is just kind of addressing what's the problem. Why am I not doing this? Or if I'm not scoring, yeah, there's times when you're holding your stick a little too tight, or you're trying to pinpoint something instead of just kind of releasing the puck as quick as possible. And same thing defensively, are you kind of, puck watching, or situation is a little bit too hard to comprehend, or the strategy is a little different. You ask questions. I mean, coaches, I think, they almost get a bad rep in a way, just because it's like a school teacher, like, oh, you're making me do this work, you're making me do that. Like, I just want to play and do things like that. But at the same time, they want to help, especially at the younger ages. Everyone wants to learn the game and teach the game and express their knowledge. So whatever the situation is that you're struggling, and obviously kind of approach it with that, look in the mirror and see what's wrong, ask questions, how can you fix it, and then work on it. And I think that's, the ownership is one thing that a lot of people kind of avoid, because it's obviously hard to take.
Confidence comes from preparation. So if you can identify kind of what the issue is, it'll kind of guide you towards what the solution is. And then once you figure that out, that's where that confidence kind of stems from. We got one here, and then we'll start to wrap up and get in your questions right now, guys, if you can. But you're one of the quicker goalies that I've seen. Definitely one of the more athletic ones. I think that obviously your fundamentals are top notch, but I think you do rely on your athleticism a lot. So Kyler would like to know how, if you have any tips on how to get quicker with tracking the puck or just quicker in general as a goalie. If there's any off ice stuff that you might do that's helped you.
Yeah, I think, with tracking the puck, a lot of it is, what's your visual techniques and things like that. I think if you were to obviously sit there and someone was to shoot a puck for you, if you have the opportunity to have somebody else to work with you, and if it's road hockey or if it's on the ice or if you have something that even at practice, sit there and obviously track things all the way into your body. I think that's one thing that almost doesn't get addressed enough as a goaltender. And there's times when you can't do it, but I think if you were to make glove saves or blocker saves and try and watch it all the way into your hand and then off your hand is one thing that I think the eyes kind of lack. There was a video one time and somebody had kind of done it kind of like a doctor's office. If you were to say, okay, look at that spot on the wall and then look to your right, you'll watch people's eyes will kind of jump across. And then when they hold a pen or a pencil or the light that the doctor always has and he tells you to watch it, your eyes will always be one constant motion. I think that's one thing too, is when people kind of want to pick things up or track a puck, it's like, okay, you shot it and it's going to land in my pad and you just kind of look down. Yeah. If you can focus on staying with the puck the entire time in and off your body, you'll feel a lot more confident in tracking. And then with quickness, obviously with, athleticism stuff, a lot of that is aerobic activity and strength. If you can manipulate, what you're kind of using, if you want to use your glutes or your legs or your groins and things like that, for goalies, a lot of it's lateral. Lateral movements are going to be obviously as important as anything with, quick feet over ladders. I'm sure Project Hockey has a ton of drills that are going to address it in their app, which would be great to kind of look at. But from my perspective, obviously just kind of sitting here trying to tell you something to do. If you can work on strength and jumps, quick feet movements, obviously, sideways jumps and hurdles or anything against, static mobility, you can have someone you hold a rope around you or obviously an exercise band and pull as you push. It's one thing that'll obviously help just in your own little basement or area you have.
Yep. I think the tracking thing that's a great question there, Kyler, because I think that's one of the great equalizers for any goalies that are on here as you move up in levels. Everyone kind of has good fundamentals and all that, but the best ones, if you watch the NHL games, like their eyes are on pucks like the whole way. And, they don't just try to beat the puck to their block or beat the puck to their stick. Like Scott said, they're watching it the whole way. And I was always visual. I wanted to see that puck spinning as much as I could and then a shot off the stick.
Check out Vasilevsky's eyes, in their game 7. He's playing with him. Vasilevsky's eyes are just popped and he's always ready to go.
Yeah, someone asked a question about Vasilevsky in here actually. Whereas, what do you think makes Andrei Vasilevsky different than other goalies?
He's not human.
Yeah.
No, honestly, being with him, it's impressive, and that's one of those things that I think I took away the most from my time with him and watching obviously him play, and then obviously winning the Stanley Cup with him. It was every day. Obviously he's strong, he's flexible, he's big, and he's got kind of all those God-given things that you can't really fix. But he doesn't slow down, and it's always crisp and it's perfection. I think that's one thing through practice habits and things that he addresses personally without anyone else out there. And I know as a goalie we're in a receptive position. You can't really go out there and say, okay, shoot the puck high glove, but if no one's there, how are they going to shoot the puck high glove? So you're almost in that kind of secondary position. But what he does so well is he hits his spots. If you're doing a footwork drill or you're just doing post play and things like that, he's never, he misses and everyone misses, but he strives for that perfection. He hits his post at the right time, he moves at the right time, his head goes at the right time, his sticks in the right position. There's even with the coach out there, it's not he'll say it once and then the next 6 reps he doesn't have to bring it up again, and he's as close to perfect as you're going to get. He's got those long legs and big body, and he's he only really gets beat on tips, deflections, and just those are kind of broken plays.
Yep. Yeah, I think I've heard that he's just one of the hardest working guys at that level. And, I think it's important for everyone to understand that, yes, there's some people that are more like naturally gifted than others, but at the end of the day, being naturally gifted doesn't guarantee anything, and not being naturally gifted doesn't guarantee anything either. So I think just understanding that your ceiling is only as high as you want it to be. It's proven what he's saying right now. There's a lot of goalies that are big, flexible, and strong that don't make it to the NHL or win a Stanley Cup. So for him, it's got to be that striving for perfection. So the last question I want to ask here, Scott, before we let you go watch the game, is playing youth hockey and kind of climbing the ladder of youth hockey. I think there's a lot of questions about, like, where do I play? How do I get seen? What's the best step for my career? If you could go back and give, because I know I have a lot of advice I'd give myself, but obviously you've made it to a high level. If you could give your young self any advice, or a young kid any advice as they kind of go on their journey, what would it be?
I think I wouldn't really chase the best team record, the best, who's got the most money for the organization, things like that. I think that's kind of what helped me out without even knowing it. I was a chunkier kid. I was great at what I did. I was a fun goalie. I just played to win and stop everything I could. And there was a point right before my draft year to the OHL where the Toronto Canadiens were 30-3 every year our whole childhood. They couldn't lose. They had everybody. And I was going to go and play for them just before season had started. It was one of those things where they kind of invited me to camp, said, yeah, like, spots here if you wanted. I had, been one of the better goalies in the league. The opportunity kind of came, and I was like, you know what, I don't really want to play for them, because every night, in a weird way, it was almost like brother. You would get 17, 20 shots a night. They'd win 6-0, and no one was the wiser. But the team I played for was, fourth or fifth spot. I'd get 30, 40 shots a night, obviously in a goalie's perspective. And that got me seen, because every time we played, if we won, in a sense, it was not because of me, but I had to show up and I had to do my job and make it worth it. And I enjoyed my coach. I enjoyed it. It just made it fun. It wasn't that I chased, the best of what the league had to offer at the time, but I kind of enjoyed the little niche that I was in. I loved the game. I never really looked at it as, okay, I'm going to the NHL. Obviously, it was a dream of mine, but I had a lot of fun with my teammates, a lot of fun with that kind of organizational spot I was in, and then it put me in a position to play. I think that's what everybody wanted. I didn't want to go and sit there and make 10 saves a night and kind of just watch hockey go by. I wanted to be a part of it and make a chance to make a difference each night. And that's kind of the situation I found myself in. And then that got me noticed and kind of propelled from there. It was, even in Plymouth, I'd get X amount of shots a night. And on my whole career, I've played on teams where you're never at the top of the league. We've never been on a first place team, and you got to work for it.
Yep. Process based, right? Just worry about like your own journey. And I think that's definitely something you did there. It's easy to chase those, like the best teams and the trophies and all that, but at the end of the day, if you're not getting yourself better, then you're just hurting yourself. So all right, Coach, you got anything else? Because I think there's a ton of good questions in there. You guys did awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it. We'll let you get to it. We had a lot of goalie questions, and like I said, we do have an entire goalie program dedicated to the stuff that you're talking about, whether it's hockey IQ, looking at making different saves. We'll have to break down some of your saves for future videos for our guys and gals, but we've got tracking work, and Maddie Rooney, U.S. Olympic our goaltender, gold medal winner. She does a lot of our videos as well. And so, yeah, absolutely. Well, just like you said, there's a ton of stuff that you can do in your very own basement. And so check that stuff out. If anybody has any questions that didn't get answered that are goalie related, send them our way, because we have phenomenal goalies on the staff that are always willing to help. So thank you again for coming on, and we do appreciate it. And looks like you're getting a few thank yous in the chat.
Yeah,
but
no problem. I think, I'll leave it with the question I get asked probably the most is, yes, it is as cool as possible when you do lift the Stanley Cup. I know a lot of kids always think about that all the time, and I get asked it from every person now that I wouldn't have thought of, but it is, it's hard to talk about. It's hard to put those words in that everyone says when you do their interviews, but yeah, it's one of those moments and one of those things that if you can get there, enjoy every second of it, because it was one of those coolest moments of your life kind of situations.
Someone's rooting for Montreal. Who are you rooting for, Wedge?
I'll take Montreal. I'll take a Canadian team.
There we go. Be good for hockey.
My son's 1.5, and he lifts the cup every night when we play mini hockey. So it's a dream,
everyone
man.
did it, and it's the same thing. It feels that great. Oh, Montreal just scored. There you go. Starting it off.
So, well, congrats on the cup. Congrats on the awesome career. We look forward to continue watching you play, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks,
All right,
Wedge.
thanks, guys.
We'll talk, man. See ya. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.